Dinosaurs are cool! Transphobia is not, and transphobia is what we're looking at in today's video, but it's not all doom and gloom. Hey Spuds, it's Jamie, how's it going? Welcome back to another video, first video on the channel. I don't know, but welcome either way, and today we are gonna have a look at some very not okay transphobes. Some examples of transphobia just failing. I mean, transphobia in its entirety is one massive fail, but like transphobia extra failing. And we are gonna be looking at examples of just ridiculous transphobia and just calling it out, calling it what it is, which is just bigotry and hate. Hopefully this video is not going to be too negative. If it's not the kind of content you're into, I completely understand, but I just like to be able to look at this stuff and call it out and have a little giggle at some transphobes failing as well sometimes. But first, before we get into the transphobia, which is the not cool bit, I want to talk to you about dinosaurs, which is the cool bit. This is little Pud. Pud is a pride dino plushie with a little detachable trans egg, a green bow tie, and Jammidodger along the tail. I designed Pud with the team at Makeshift to be a little pride dinosaur for trans people to alpha support and just be a little cute thing, you know, and for allies to show that there is no LGB without the T. So if you do want to grab yourself a little pride plushie dino, you can go to this link or click the link in my description box or the pinned comment and go check out Pud. But Pud is not available for very long, so definitely go check out the link if you want to grab your own plush. And that is all I'm going to say on it. Now back to the transphobia. Liverpool Pride, July 2023. Attendance 20,000. Oh yeah, we're kicking it off with a little positive one. Turf Hate Club meeting, July 2023. Attendance approximately 30. And actually, from what I've seen, 30 is a really good turnout for them. Everything I've seen, they're wearing those like horrendous like woman definition t-shirts. Everything I've seen of these like transphobic turf protests, meetings, gatherings, whatever, they're so tiny. It's like 2 people outside of a Costa or 10 people outside of a Primark. And then you look at the pride marches or the people that show up for trans support, and there are thousands, like tens of thousands of people that show up to support the LGBT plus community and specifically support trans people. And there are literally like 30 transphobes. They're just really, really loud, okay? Don't let the internet fool you into thinking that they're numerous as well. There's a quote in an article from someone who's very well known for being transphobic. And they said, and in the meantime, while we're trying to get through to the decision makers, we have to try to limit the harm, and that means reducing or keeping down the number of people who transition. Joyce said. That's for 2 reasons. One of them is that every one of those people is a person who's been damaged. Yes, I'm an Amazon parcel that was chucked over a gate. But the second one is every one of those people is basically, you know, a huge problem to a sane world. How miserable must it be to be so hate-filled? I'm sorry if some people find it difficult to hear this kind of stuff. I can fully appreciate why. To me, it's just so ridiculous. It's such a skewed perspective of the world. It's so misguided. Like, clearly a trans person has never been humanized to somebody like this. Clearly they don't see trans people as just individual human beings who deserve access to appropriate healthcare. And clearly people with this kind of opinion, one, don't realize that it's actually none of their business what a group of people with a different identity and life path to them do with their lives. And actually it's not their business what anybody else does with their life. Nobody's breaking the law, nobody's hurting anybody. Okay? And 2, they don't know how to pay attention to facts, because all of this goes against the factual evidence and factual support, both for trans people's existence and to advocate for trans people still accessing appropriate healthcare. So, from an account Gay Not Queer on Twitter, this isn't a debate. The divorce is happening. Hashtag LGB without the T. They got LGB on one side and the little scissors cutting it in half, and then TIQA+. That's not just trans people. You're basically saying like F you to anyone that isn't specifically cisgender and lesbian, gay or bisexual. Let's face it, bisexuals are a bit of a risk as well, to be honest. And then eventually it'd just be the LG as well, completely at risk, because that's where we're heading. But no, it's not just the T. Anything after LGB isn't just trans people. IQA+, not trans. I'm a woman. I mean, I'm not, I'm reading a tweet. I'm a woman. Please don't ever refer to me as a person with a uterus, birthing person, or person who menstruates eviscerates. How do people not realize how degrading this is? You can support the transgender community without doing this shit. What I would say is that my hair is awful. What I would say is there's been such a weird pushback to gender neutral language and a complete misunderstanding, maybe deliberately, but I don't know. There's been a misunderstanding of the context in which gender neutral language is used. There's people who are very clearly transphobic being like, no, we hate this, get it away from me. And then there's people who are like, I'm not transphobic,
but I just don't like this, I don't feel comfortable.
And the way both those groups of people have kind of run with this idea of gender neutral language is, oh, if I go to an appointment, I am no longer going to be referred to as a woman. My pronouns and gender neutral pronouns are going to get used. In my notes, I will be described as a menstruator instead of a woman. When that's actually not what's happening. What's actually happening is on like medical leaflets, for example, for like cervical screening, gender neutral language is being used because, like it or not, trans people who are assigned female at birth may and often do still have a cervix and require access to screening and healthcare and to feel accepted in those environments and respected in those environments. And when you're doing a leaflet and it's like just talking about this is what women need to do and only referring to women and saying that only women have a cervix, you're excluding a portion of society who require that health checkup but are not women. And it's just, that is a fact of the world. I am a man who happens to be trans and I am a man who has a cervix, right? I am not a woman. Saying that only women have a cervix, you can say it, but it doesn't make it true. So gender neutral language is introduced to try and make these environments more open and to help people like me feel more comfortable going for screenings. That's what it is. But you as an individual person, your identity will be respected. You will not be referred to as a person with a cervix. You'll be referred to as a woman if you're a woman, okay? It's not a big deal. So somebody posted a picture of Posey Parker, Kelly J. Keane, I don't actually know, goes by either, going heroine, adult, human, female. It's so dramatic, like, wow. And then somebody just called her a Nazi. I'm assuming this is in response to the fact that a group of Nazis showed up to a TERF rally and they seem to get on quite well. That's all I'm going to say on it, just my observation on the matter. And then the person who posted the photo that called Posey Parker a heroine said, a stunningly brave Nazi. God, I love that woman. Did they just admit something? You'd think that maybe there would be a pushback, like a no, that's not what she is, but there's not. I'm just reading the tweets. No one knows, cares, or believes in cis people. Wow, maybe it's time that we need cis pride. If cis people are now this hated on that nobody cares or believes in cis people are valid. And cis people exist and deserve rights. Oh wait, no, this wasn't the angle this was going at. This is just somebody not liking the term cis. Shit, you must be surrounded by trans people. It certainly feels like it lately, says everyone. So only trans people exist. So true. So true. If nobody knows, cares, or believes in cis people, then do cis people exist? Do they exist? Exist? That is terrible. Sorry. You heard it here first. Cis people. Nobody gives a shit. Woman is not a costume. Woman, woman, woman. Okay. Just gonna leave that one here. So this next one was in response to a tweet about, you know, if you're against trans women in women's bathrooms and you want them to use men's bathrooms, then surely that would mean trans men would need to use women's bathrooms, and then you're actually pushing men into women's bathrooms. Someone who's very known for being transphobic said, as a politically homeless English woman, I'd say no man is welcome in women's spaces. I'm happy to say women who pretend to be men can stay out too. And then a photo of a bunch of stickers going, men don't pass.
You shall not pass. You shall not pass!
I mean, reading between the lines, no man is welcome in women's spaces. Trans men can stay out too. And it's like, if you're really all about protecting women and staying away from men, and you believe that trans men are women, then you're not even under your definition of protecting women, because you are trying to protect yourself from trans women who you view as men. Obviously, I don't agree with any of this. I don't think that needed to be said, but it feels so uncomfortable just to like vocalize their opinions. So this person person would be like, I'm protecting women from trans women because I think trans women are men and therefore should not access women's spaces. But even though I view trans men as women, I will not do anything to protect them. I don't think they deserve access to women's spaces. How do you fit that narrative together in your head? Because to me, it's so contradictory and it doesn't make sense. And this tweet, I'm like, you're either going against the spiel, which we all know is shit anyway, of, oh, we just want to protect women. That's one side of where you're contradicting yourself. Or you've technically just called trans men, which contradicts your belief that trans people are not their true gender. So like, it's one or other. You're either throwing part of the very group you claim to protect under the bus because you don't like their presentation. I mean, you're being transphobic because trans men are men, but from the worldview of a transphobe, yes, you're either throwing some women under a bus or you've just called trans men, and in which case, why are trans men and trans women not women? So like, either way, just bullshit. Like, you're just transphobic and there's no legitimizing it. Trans women are women, trans men are men. Trans women belong in women's spaces, trans men belong in men's spaces. But trans men belong in men's spaces not because they're women that you don't like and don't agree with, but because they're men, okay? So cisgender, gender-critical men are pretending to be lesbians to infiltrate her app and catch trans women. So far, they're literally just exposing each other's account. Lol. So in a world where trans women are posed as a threat, and this imaginary threat that they pose is talked about, shouted about, and just spread in a way that's really shitty. To try and get evidence that trans women are doing this imaginary threatening thing, transphobic cis men are doing that very thing. Why? You're all like, oh, trans women are trying to infiltrate women's spaces. Well, they're women, and you are cis men who are transphobic, and you are literally going on a space that you shouldn't be going on. And not because trans women are making it easier for you to access that space, but because you are so blinded by your transphobia that for some reason you think that's an appropriate thing to do. And I'm pretty sure this was done in response to the fact that the app Her, which is a lesbian dating app, came out in support for trans women and non-binary lesbians using that app. And so because a bunch of transphobic cis men don't like it, they infiltrated a lesbian app. Why? Wokeness destroys lives. Hashtag Met Gala. Hashtag LGB drop the TQ. Oh, the TQ. What has Kristen Stewart got to do with this? What has Kristen Stewart's gender presentation got to do with this? Level of masculinity, femininity got to do with LGB dropping the T and to do with transfer. LGB Freedom is the account that posted this. What the heck is going on? What an interesting example to use. Yes, the TQ made Kristen Stewart more masculine. Anything to do with her independent decision. Shocking statistic for you. 74% of young adults who say they are not supportive of trans people don't actually know a trans person. 3/4 of people, young people who are transphobic, don't even know a trans person. Knowingly know a trans person. There must be some realization that maybe it's because I'm making a judgment on a group of people I know nothing about. Maybe this is being driven by fear and my own closed-mindedness and my lack of awareness of a certain type of person. No, just transphobia. I don't know a trans person, I just hate them all. So a trans man grabbed the mic at a Posey Parker Let Women Speak hate rally, and they said he wasn't allowed to speak because he's a man. Okay, fair enough. But now we had this question earlier with another thing, didn't we? Of the, how do transphobes actually see trans men? But isn't the whole gender critical argument that trans men are women? They can't even remain logically consistent. They can't remain logically consistent. You cannot remain logically consistent when there is no logic to begin with. The only comeback to that is that they do see trans men as women, but they just don't like women who present in a certain way, which is then just shit because then you're silencing women. Saying that there are also examples of gender critical transphobic women shutting down cis women just because they're saying things they disagree with. So like trans supportive cis women are also not allowed to speak at things like Let Women Speak hate rallies because they're not saying the right things. They're not the right kind of woman. Either way, they've messed up their whole argument, but particularly here, that is a very good example. Oh yeah, here's it. They wouldn't let cis women speak in Australia if they supported trans people. They covered the mic, heckled them, and shouted over them. them. Hateful, logically inconsistent, logically void. A lesbian cisgender woman is escorted out of the women's bathroom by police because a Karen called the cops on her thinking she was a man. Bathroom transvestigations are only about enforcing gender conformity, nothing else. This is what trans people have been saying for the longest time. This is very shitty transphobia and it's horrible to trans people, but it's not just going to hurt trans people. This is literally going to hurt the very group of people that these transphobes try to claim they wanting to protect. But they're not. It's enforcing gender conformity. It's wanting to push trans people out of society. Just bizarre. I wouldn't respect it still, but I would at least have a nanometer more respect if they could say, nah, I just don't like trans people. That's what this is about. I think it's so cowardly to try and hide behind being righteous and having a cause when all you're doing is hating on other people. Go woke, go broke. I called out hashtag Doctor Who on their dangerous ideologies of understanding what a woman is, and they blocked me. We need to protect our kids from this. Oh no, must protect the kids from Doctor Who. It's about a time and space traveling alien with 2 hearts who can regenerate multiple times and look like a completely different person, and your concern is over what a woman is. It's a sci-fi show. I mean, not that trans people are sci-fi or fictional, but really? Have you seen the Slothenes? I need to watch Doctor Who now. This is making me want to watch Doctor Who. I'm gonna go watch Doctor Who. I'd cry if I got blocked by Doctor Who. Concerned parents of transgender / non-binary kids, teens, or young adults. Sounds like a breeding ground for believing in ROGD. Does anyone have any experience convincing their RuPaul-loving spouse that ROGD is rapid onset gender dysphoria? Who could have guessed that was going to come up here? Hold on, let me read that again. I got distracted. Does anyone have any experience convincing their RuPaul-loving spouse that ROGD is real? What has RuPaul got to do with this? My spouse loves the drag queens. I need to convince them to be transphobic, though. Dick. You cannot defend the term cisgender. It does not describe who I am. It does not complement the term transgender. I am a woman, not cisgender. Thank you. So you're a trans woman. You're not cisgender. And it's the opposite to transgender. Like, oh, transgender. Transgender. I will never understand this, like, bitter disgust at a prefix. 21 weeks pregnant. Could never. Just because I don't like giving attention to individual people unless they are already incredibly prominent. I will, like, cut out this person's username and blur their face, but the way their hair falls on their jumper, it says pus. I just find that funny. Imagine, like, really going, like, this is how I want to announce my pregnancy or give an update on my pregnancy, whatever. Yeah, let me just do it with transphobia. Using the T slur as well. I'm losing my voice. That's how horrifying this is. Wow, someone really did that. Someone really talked about their pregnancy using transphobia. What the And actually, trans people can. This is just a completely, again, blinkered view, like, that trans women are the only type of trans people. There are AFAB trans people that exist. Transphobic and a fail. I mean, transphobia is a fail. Double fail. I did a tweet about my book. Not to promote two things, but I've written a book if you want to check that out. There's also a link in the description box. It's a trans self-help thing, part memoir. Anyway, I wrote a book, and in the build-up to the release, I was promoting the book, and I did a tweet about my book. It got picked up by one transphobic Twitter account in particular that had enough followers and was in a big enough echo chamber that it then got, like, a bunch of hate on it. And there was some really funny comments. Like, one person was like, the T stands for TERF. Like, it stands for TERF. But this one stood out to me in particular. Did you get permission from the LGBs to be part of this? Because they want nothing to do with this. They want a divorce. You're holding them in this marriage. I did not get the permission of the entire cisgender LGB community for them to be part of this book. I mean, somebody did reply going, Jamie's bisexual too. I am not just under the T part of the LGBT plus acronym. Where do I stand? Do I get rights as a bisexual person? Do I get to be part of the community as a bisexual but not as a trans person? So confusing. I mean, make it make sense. Yeah, I love that because I'm guessing it's because I had LGBT plus on the cover. It's literally the way I came out to Shaba. Sorry. to answer this person's question, I did. I asked every single LGB person and they all said it was fine. It turns out it's just you, and so majority wins, and I got permission to use it in the book. But thanks for checking. I'm very happy to divorce specifically you within the community. Go start your own. That's it. I'm ending on a shameless plug. I'm not. I just really wanted to share that. I mean, I technically am. You don't have to buy my book. You don't have to buy, you literally don't have to do anything. I feel really bad like promoting stuff. I'm just telling you it's there. You do what you want with the information. I hope you like this video. I have a lot of content like this. I did skip some of them because some of them are very just not nice, and whilst I like calling out transphobia, I still have a limit to what I want to share and expose people to, so like I'd still draw a line. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Think about giving the thumbs up and subscribing, but no pressure if you don't want to do that either. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye.